It's important that you acknowledge that sometimes you are a vulnerable person and that makes you human. Let yourself feel your emotions. Let yourself to maybe speak or feel what you need to feel, but don't let yourself be consumed of that kind of feeling. Don't be stuck on that kind of feeling because it's also your responsibility at the end of the day to make sure that whatever happens, you still have the ability to consciously think na kaya mo yan, na you will get through it. You have the ability to choose what you think would be better for you. You still have the ability to become someone better than who you are today.
Emerge Stories is a place where, as the name implies, you are going to hear stories. Stories from people all over the Philippines who have come from many different types of backgrounds, and especially people who have gone through struggles, people who have gone through the challenging parts of life. And I hope that these stories will relate for you in some way, that some of these stories will really land for you because these people have gone through probably just about the same thing you might be going through right now.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome again to Emerge Stories interview. Today, I am joined by a very passionate individual, a fur mom of 5 dogs and 3 cats, someone who is studying elementary education and is also a skilled life skill educator of PRFU, someone who's really passionate about animal welfare and also environment. And I'm so excited to hear her story of growth and the struggles that she's gone through and how come that at such a young age she has such a big drive and passion towards all this activity, animal welfare, and the environment, and also shaping the life of other young individuals as well. Help you welcome our guest for today, JenJen Malayo. Hi, JenJen. Thank you so much for joining us here. How are you doing?
I'm very fine. I'm very excited for today. And I was happy to see you po again at the Gladys. I'm really happy that you invited me to be a part of this kind of event.
Definitely. I'm also very happy to be able to connect with you and get to know you better. I'm so excited for our listener to also hear about your story. I know that we had our intimate conversation before. I would like for you to actually share who is JenJen right now. What is life like for JenJen?
My current life right now, para siya pong rainbow. Marami siyang kulay. It's colorful. Some days, I felt very bright. Some days also I felt gloomy. But overall, it was filled with bright and wonderful colors. I feel like everything seems so balanced naman po.
That's beautiful. I like that you use the metaphor of a rainbow where there are bright colors, there are light colors, and there might be a gloomy color, but overall it still looks beautiful. So it seems like you're able to really enjoy the life, even the ups and downs of it. So that's great. How old are you again now, Jen? You're
I am 22 years old po right now.
20, right?
22.
22. Wow, at such a young age, I love the kind of personality that you're actually embodying. What was your family background like? Did you came from a privileged family? Give us a little bit of picture of what's your family background look like.
I came from a small family lang po. We have a very humble family. My dad was a very hardworking person, and my mom is also a very diligent person who happens to have an orthopedic disability, but it didn't hinder them to give us a wonderful life. We are actually three siblings in the family, and I was raised as well by my grandparents, my two wonderful grandparents. Most of my life, I rendered a lot of time with my grandparents po in their house. I can say that I am Lola and Lola's girl. Masaya naman po yung family namin. And though I was not raised by a perfect family, I was raised by good people. And somehow it's reflected in me, and I love it. I like the way that I was raised to become a strong individual as well. And I think the hardships that I faced helped me approach life more into a better way. Kasi hinayaan po ako ng parents ko na mag-start ng something na ako lang or mag-do minimal effort lang po. Kumbaga yung support every time when I do something. But I was lucky enough that my family was very supportive when it comes to my studies. And I was capable to do a lot of things, especially when I was in my elementary, high school years. I've been exposed to several experiences that have allowed me to grow as a person. It nurtured my skills on how to interact with people and how to become more prepared in life.
That's amazing. I love that you seem to look at those different experiences in life, or some people call it struggles in life, and transition it, use it as a tool to grow and learn. You mentioned when you were younger, like elementary days, you experience things that have helped you grow as a person. What are those experiences that you've actually faced?
Mas nasanay po ako that I work on something na ako lang. If I do my assignments or activities, my mom would always just tell me na do it, and then I have to do it.
Mhm.
Hinahayaan na po ako kung ano yung gagawin ko. It gives me also the authority to help myself whenever I do something. And it builds up the character of being resilient as a person. Ano na ngayon, because of that kind of training when I was young, parang na-adapt ko siya until now.
It's beautiful. I love how you approach those moments in your life. I think it's a good example, especially for parents. It's nice to be able to guide your kids, but also give them and trust them that they will be able to navigate within themselves. Because if you always hold a child's hand, that child will not be able to walk on its own unless you actually let go. Maybe they will fall down, but that's part of life. That's part of how we learn and grow as well. So I think your parents are very proud of you for who you turn out to be. That's great. I'm happy to hear that. Not everyone has this kind of mentality. What do you think allow you to actually have a very positive mindset? Who influence you?
I would be completely dishonest if I would say that I was always positive every time, because it's not like that. At some point, I still do feel sad about something. I still deal with a lot of pressures, and I still do have to face those things. It's completely normal. It's just that I see the positive sides of things, and that's make me able to do something is despite na mahirap siyang gawin.
Mhm.
Parang iniisip ko na I still can do it. Though it would be kind of difficult as someone who have experience before na na-overwhelmed ka sa mga ginagawa mo or on the different roles that you've been given. Hindi mo na masyadong naiisip kung ano yung mga magagandang bagay na nangyayari sa'yo. And that's the reason why you get stuck and it's hard to come out sa ganong situation. As someone na na-overcome yung challenge na yon, I think it's always better na kahit na medyo nahihirapan ka sa isang bagay or you tend to be overwhelmed about whatever situation that you are currently in, it's always better to see the positive sides of things or think about good things that still is happening to you right now.
That's great. I like that you also acknowledge that there are times that we feel down. And even if on those moments we don't have to hate it, we can still embrace it because that's part of life. It would be crazy for us to always just be happy all the time, because I think we wouldn't even appreciate what happiness even mean if we don't experience the hard part of it as well. During our previous conversation, you talk about you having depression. Can you tell us about that story?
Depression is mahirap siyang i-tackle. And even right now, I can say that this is an issue, a concept that is constantly neglected pa.
Mm-hmm.
Primarily, we can say that it's hard to combat, just like sex education in our country. Hindi pa siya nabibigyan talaga ng importance. It was not adequately introduced and discussed among schools. That's why millions of people struggle with it because they don't know how to deal with it. Mahirap na siyang i-deal with because we don't have enough resources here in Philippines, given na wala pong masyadong suporta, especially human resources, just like experts na madaling lapitan or even facilities. Factor din po yun na mahirap siyang i-combat. Up to this day, even though we're now living in a modern era, depression is still something that is associated with a stigma. Parang hindi na naalis sa konsepto or isip ng tao na depression ay gawa-gawa. Na iniisip mo lang yan, you're just feeling it, you haven't had to deal with it. But actually, if you would look into it closely, because of that idea, nahihirapan tayong i-broke yung chain of problem na ito over the years, even though we are in the modern society na. Kasi hindi natin ina-accept na meron talagang ganitong mga bagay. Just like anxiety, overthinking, or any mental health disorders, people do not accept it as it is, that it is present, or acknowledge it. That's why it's hard to combat.
Yes, totally agree. It's sad, and it's a sad truth that depression, anxiety, those are things that a lot of people are now experiencing, but it's not freely talked about. And as you said, there's not much resources like facility or expert that we can actually tap into when we experience those kind of things. On the bright side, I can see more and more awareness around that topic, around mental health issue compared to previous days. So that's at least a positive part of it. And for you as a 22 years old, being able to talk about it and to have an understanding around this topic is also another positive thing. How were you able to actually get out of depression when you had it? And how it look like having a depression?
It's a long process. It took time for me to overcome it. And hindi siya something na ako lang yung gumawa. I had to tap someone. I had to go counseling. For some people, it may be much harder for them because they have to go through more treatment that would require them to take medication. But for me, I overcome it because I felt that I need to help myself and I don't want to get stuck on that certain situation because of also those people that I reach out during my hardest days. I was able to practice through getting myself a little break from everything, through breathing. I was able to get out of it. Though I know, I felt like there are still days that I felt like I'm lost. Up to now, I do still find myself like that, but it's not something that I get stuck on. I try to focus now more on what can I do and how should I overcome my thoughts. Nag-help din po sa akin na you have to distinguish your thoughts. It's very empowering that you know how to distinguish your thoughts from what's good and what's bad. When you're a depressed person, you are consumed of the negative ideas in your mind, and it's hard to get out of it because sometimes your thoughts tell you to isolate. Your thoughts will want to do it. Your thoughts would tell you this will fail. You have this feeling that you have to listen to that kind of thoughts. And that's why mahirap siyang stop because may mga stimulus din sa paligid mo na nag-trigger din siya to listen on that kinds of thoughts or ideas. What helped me, I think, is that I determined my thoughts along the way when I was, kumbaga may pinagdadaanan pa. You have to know what kind of thoughts you have to instill in your mind, what kind of thoughts you have to let just pass through, what kind of thoughts naman din yung kailangan mong i-act out. Because sometimes our thoughts are our biggest battle because we always think that yung thoughts natin at tayo ay isa because it's just come out of our head. But actually, it's not. So yun yung na-realize ko. Your thoughts is not you, and you are completely separate from your thoughts. Somehow, along the way, I realized that you have to understand that whatever your thoughts is telling you, it's not real. It could be just only a thought. Thought lang siya, hindi mo siya kailangan pakinggan. You can just let it pass through. You don't have to continuously bite or buy with your thoughts.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. As you said, there's a lot of stimulus around us, and we do have different parts of our brain, and it's very complex to talk about it. I'm glad that you're able to actually get a holistic and good picture about that. As a person, we have our thought, and we can also separate from our thought. Maybe that's our thought, but we don't necessarily have to act on it. We can be an observer of our thought and decide, is this kind of thinking a positive thinking that would create a positive impact on my life, or is this a negative thinking that actually drown me to a spiral of negativity and negative emotion? If that's the case, then I need to let it go, or else I'll be stuck here. So that's a very good
Exactly.
self awareness. Again, self awareness is such a key because with self awareness, you gain choice. You have the choice whether or not to indulge in the negative thinking or to let go of it. And with that choice comes the freedom to free yourself from being stuck and from being in that negative loop of emotion. So thank you, Jen, for touching on that subject. I hope you don't mind if we go back to that feeling of you being depressed. How long did it take you? And what was the kind of thinking that you were having during that time? How did it happen? I want to get a clear picture of that.
I had it for quite long years, especially then paper din siya because I lost my grandparents whom I really love the most. Depression is something that can be brought because of several factors that could be also your other complex interactions with others, especially if you have abuse, traumatic experience, and many more. Hindi naman lahat ng tao same yung level ng nafe-feel nila. It's only them who understands what kind of feeling they have. I was aware that I won't make it or I will always fail. Even though you're happy with your friends, you seem to continuously associate with others, have time to have a very good time with others or do all the things that you still do. There's a feeling that there is something that you lack of and you don't quite understand why. You felt like you have no sense of direction. Yun yung feeling ko at that time. That's the picture of what I used to feel before when I was in that days.
When did you decide to actually seek help? What made you decide to actually do something about it?
I tried to seek help na po when I felt like this seems so wrong. It seems so wrong. This is not what I want to be. That's why I seek help. You have to go agad sa experts. It's always also better that you check on your friends, whether happy man or hindi. It's always really good to ask them how well they are or how they're feeling. Kasi minsan, those simple questions, those thoughtful gestures, it helps a bit. Because I think they do care. At that time when I felt down, when I felt like I lost the most important people in my life, I didn't tap anyone because somehow I don't want people see me like that. I don't want them to know that I was feeling so alone or grieving. I don't want them to see that I am weak. I mask it, put it on a mask, and I try to just isolate myself. Nilayo ko yung sarili ko sa mga tao who can, I think, would help me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jen, for being very vulnerable and sharing that side of you and that story. I know it's quite difficult to relieve those kind of moments because it's uncomfortable. I want to touch on the part where you say you are not comfortable showing that you're grieving, that you're feeling alone. A lot of people here in the Philippines, or maybe in other countries too, that they think if you're crying, if you're feeling your emotion, especially feeling of grief, losing someone, it's a sign of weakness. And it's actually very sad. For me, I used to believe that. But now I believe that for you to be able to actually feel those emotion, it's such a very courageous thing to do because not everyone can do it. Maybe not everyone can hold space for you, but find those people who can actually allow you to cry without letting you say, "Wait, stop crying. Just be strong lang. Just be positive." Those are toxic positivity.
Yes.
Real friends would actually encourage you that your feelings are valid. Let yourself feel those feelings and you can get through this. Those are the kind of words that would be nice to hear from a friend because these emotions are totally valid. You losing your grandparents, it's such a sad thing and you deserve to grieve for that. I'm glad that there are people who is able to support you as well. And I'm happy that you're able to get the courage to tap into those people, even though it took you a little while. So thank you for sharing that story, Jen. If there's a message that you could give to people that are listening who may be experiencing the same situation that you had before in the brink of depression, people who feel that maybe they don't have friends to talk to and they're just keeping all the emotion within themselves, what are the message that you would like to tell them?
Simple lang po. You'll get through it. In some days, you're alone or you felt like the world is in your back. Okay lang po yan. And it's important that you acknowledge that sometimes you are a vulnerable person and that makes you human. That makes who you are, and you are designed to feel everything because you have emotions. Let yourself feel your emotions. Let yourself to maybe speak or feel what you need to feel, but don't let yourself be consumed of that kind of feeling. Don't be stuck on that kind of feeling because it's also your responsibility at the end of the day to make sure that whatever happens, you still have the ability to consciously think na kaya mo yan, na you will get through it. You have the ability to choose what you think would be better for you. You still have the ability to become someone better than who you are today. You'll get through it. Yun na lang po yung pinaka siguro gusto kong isipin nila. You'll get through it. And whatever you're thinking, hindi ka yung kung ano yung iniisip mo. Don't let yourself control your thoughts. Dapat ikaw yung nagko-control sa thoughts mo because you are a person who is knowledgeable, can help yourself to be someone that you want to be. Always assess yourself and challenge your thoughts, whatever happens or whatever kind of thoughts go through your head. Challenge it, face it, or just let it go.
That's beautiful. I love that message, Chen. Thank you so much. Don't let your thoughts control you and always challenge those thoughts that you have in mind. That's amazing. Thank you so much. If you're talking to someone who also wants to take more ownership of their personal growth journey, what are the books, resources, channel, or maybe some influencer that you're following that you can share that would help them emerge as a better version of themselves?
Honestly po, I really love reading books, but I tend to always forget the kind of books that I read. But I have some, let's say, influencers or maybe experts. They're more like experts po, hindi sila influencers because they are medical professionals and they have acquired the experience to be called experts. I really enjoy the discussions with Emma McAdam. She hosts for the channel Therapy in a Nutshell. She was from America and she talks about how to deal with your mental health challenges. She is openly giving tips on how to practice po ng mga ways on to stop those kind of things that's going through in your head. If you want to at least help yourself improve the way you're thinking, I suggest po si Emma McAdam. I also admire a lot Alison Wood po. She had one TED Talk before that I've watched. I cannot really fully remember na po, but she openly discussed about how optimism can help you in how you see things in life na. Kasi it may be hard to stay optimistic, but being an optimistic is something that you can learn that would eventually help you as a person in the long run.
That's great. I love the mentors or these people that you're actually following. For me, it's very important to also pay attention who are the people that you're following in social media because in one way or another, they would be able to affect and influence you. What are the
Yeah.
kind of books that you're consuming? Because it will influence your perspective in life. Who are the people that you actually respect and follow? Because that would also show up with the kind of characteristic that you're embodying. And it sounds like Emma McAdam and Allison are both amazing people and sounds like they're really expert in their field. I think it's important, even though you may not be struggling with depression or any mental health issues, to consume this kind of content because maybe you'll be able to help someone else, or when you go
Yeah.
through hard times then you're equipped with the kind of knowledge. I love being optimistic, and one thing that have really helped me is to create a gratitude journal because it makes everything feels enough. I'm just grateful
Yes.
I'm grateful I have a house. I don't have to think of I
Yeah.
wish I have a bigger house or this and that. Just having a house itself is something to be grateful for.
I agree to that. When you see social media, you can always look at people that tend to express rage, express hate, complain. Parang lahat na lang yata pwede nang i-share on social media. Sometimes the context and the concept of being vulnerable, parang ginagamit na rin yun. Parang kinoconnect na rin sa social media, which I think is quite wrong because it seems that you tend to turn out to be someone na lahat ng bagay na nangyayari sa buhay mo, you tend to share it, even though it's personal to you, like your personal relationships. I've seen people, some of my friends, they had problems in terms of their relationships and they posted in their stories or whatever. And we are like instant chikadoras because in people stuff it because it's in public, right? Parang nakukonsume din natin siya. And then eventually, some people will adapt it because they don't know how to filter thoughts. They don't know how to filter stimulus they see. Masyado na lang tayo na stimulate doon sa kind of ideas that is presented to us. It's really important na although it happens that we're living in a digital world, we need to know how to filter things. We need to know how to manage the kind of information we consume. Parang ganun din sa food, whatever you eat, it becomes you, right? So
Exactly.
also you adopt it in your life. Kung ano yung nakikita mo, it becomes you. Whatever you let on your head, it becomes you. You tend to have perception that then becomes your reality.
I totally agree. We need to be really conscious and mindful of the things that we consume, the things that we watch and we listen to. That's one of the reason why for Emerge PH, we build a community outside of Facebook. We really have our community inside Mighty Networks because we want people who go inside the community to really be able to consume things that are helpful for them, and we really want to attract people who are in the same growth journey, not the kind of people who would rant, not the kind of people who would divulge any personal information with their relationship. It's so nice because as individual, we also like to share and posting. And something that I learned this time, I always ask myself if I'm going to post something in social media, how will this affect other people? What will be the emotion that I will trigger towards other? If this is something that would inspire and contribute to other people's life, add value to them, then I'll go ahead and post it. If this is just something to show off, then never mind. Let me let me keep it and actually be happy that I'm
Yes.
experiencing it. Those are the kind of question that I would like to ask myself before posting anything. It's important to be mindful. But Jen, I'm really happy and thank you so much for taking the time to share your story here inside Emerge PH. I'm so excited for people to hear this. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much din po, Ate Gladys. I'm really happy that I was chosen by Coach AC to do this interview. Although I was quite not sure when the first time we saw each other or we met each other in Zoom. Although I know myself that para kasi nag-question din ako sa sarili ko, why it has to be me? Ano ba yung i-share ko? Do I have something that I can really share? Parang nag-isip ako na ganun. But I'm really still happy that I was able to share some experiences in my life, and hopefully it also would help people to gain something kahit maliit lang. I really appreciate din po na although I know in myself that I'm not yet a successful person, I'm still a work in progress. Marami pa akong kailangan gawin and I'm not yet someone who will have the name. I'm really happy that you reached out to me.
Definitely. That's the beauty of this life. You don't necessarily have to be successful to have a degree or profession to be able to share some knowledge. Just you going through the experience, having that experiential journey, and being able to get out on the other side, that's already a story that's worth sharing. And we're very happy that we're able to use Emerge platform as a way for you to share that story.
Thank you so much for listening to this interview on Emerge Stories. We really hope that something here sparked your curiosity or maybe helped you think about something in your life just from a little bit of a different angle or perspective, maybe opened up your mind to something you might be able to do in your life to take more ownership of your own learning and growth. That's the goal of this show. So please join our community, like and share, and tell other people about these stories if they're meaningful for you. And thanks so much for being here.